LookCatchu here, and it's raining today. And if you're anything like me, rainy days is where I especially crave some good old comfort food. And nothing screams comfort food like takikomi gohan. LookCatchu, what is takikomi gohan? Well, it literally translates to cooked with rice in Japanese. And this classic Japanese rice dish can be made with meat, vegetables, or my beloved salmon. And since everything is thrown into a pot, it's a weeknight staple here in LookCatchu's kitchen. The buttery texture of the salmon paired with the sticky texture of the rice makes it a delight to eat. And the flavor, ooh, so good. But you'll have to wait till the end so we can eat it together. Now let's get takikomi gohaning. I have here some medium grain Japanese rice, also marketed as sushi rice. And if you don't have this kind of rice, you could also use jasmine. But short or medium grain has a chewier texture. Though the bag says no need to wash, I'll still give it a quick rinse just to ensure that when cooked, each grain of rice is distinct from one another rather than a gummy mess. Tossing the rice into a heavy-bottomed pot, I'll pour in some dashi stock, which I made using dashi powder. Today I'll be using this brand Tyro Dashi. I added in a spoonful to some warm water and let it dissolve completely before adding it to the pot. Now, regarding dashi, it's made with bonito fish, but it has no fishy flavor and instead adds a beautiful umami and smokiness to our dish. And I know not everyone has dashi in their kitchen, so a good substitute can be chicken broth, mushroom, or vegetable broth. Just make sure to get the low sodium version. Add in a splash of soy sauce and some mirin, which is a sweet rice wine that adds more complexity to the dish. You could remove it, but try to find it if you can. Then we're gonna do a little mixy mix. I'll set it aside and let the rice swim a little bit. You know, give it a little vacation to Hawaii. Let it soak in all that sun. Or in this case, our flavorful broth. Next up, salmon. Since no one taught me how to fish, I like to use frozen salmon. This is a beautifully vibrant wild sockeye salmon. I already defrosted. It luckily still has its gorgeous skin on, but you could also use skinless. Now traditionally, this dish would be made during autumn with aki sake, which is basically autumn salmon. Why autumn salmon? Well, these salmon would travel back to the rivers of Japan from the sea once they have matured in the fall, making aki sake extra special to eat. I'll slice this bad boy into a few fillets, keeping the skin on as the extra fatty layer from the skin prevents the fish from overcooking, and by cooking it with the skin on, all that lovely fat and omega-3 will seep into the rice and the fish. We can always decide if we want to remove it afterwards. Make sure your fillet is not too thick, as it will be easier to cook in the pot. Now, since we have time, I'm gonna do a quick cure with a light sprinkling of salt. A little sprinkle here, sprinkle there. We'll give it some beauty rest in the fridge for now. Vacation is over now that our rice has soaked and developed a nice suntan. I'll bring it to a boil on high heat. Immediately reduce the heat to low and let it simmer for 18 to 20 minutes. Do not open the lid. And as you can see here, all that excess liquid from the salmon has been freed with the help of the salt. Do a little pitter patter, make sure it's nice and dry. Ah, ring ring ring. Turn off off the heat and gently lay each salmon down onto the rice. Now I know it seems a bit strange to add raw salmon to cooked rice, but just trust me. You know I love me some butter, so I'll add a generous pat on top and immediately close it with the lid and let it passively cook for another 15 minutes. Now during this time is when all that moisture from the rice will evenly distribute. And, oh yeah, cook the salmon with the residual heat from the pot and the rice. Now, the longer you wait to close the lid, the more likely that heat will escape, making it harder to cook the fish. But since I'm using a heavy base pot, it has a tendency to retain the heat much better. But look at you, why don't we just put the fish in the beginning when we cook the rice? Well, you could if you're not comfortable with this traditional process, but your fish might end up a little more dry. So I think you're still better off cooking it the cool way. Hallelujah! Hallelujah! As for the salmon skin, I typically just keep it on, but for aesthetic purposes, I'll remove it. And don't worry, there's no food waste happening here. My dog, Miku, now has a lovely treat, so stick around till the end to watch her munch away. Look at all that flakiness, that gorgeous vibrant orange color mixed in with our warm flavor explosive rice. And if you're lucky, you may get some crispy bits of rice too. Oh yeah, and make sure not to overmix the rice. We still want to see chunks of salmon and the grains of rice, you know. Now traditionally, it would be topped off with some ikura, which is salmon roe, but since it's not as accessible, I love to use some thinly sliced green onion. It adds a nice pop of color and a fresh flavor to this warm rice bowl. I'm getting hungry. Now let's dig in. So this is the finished product, and I'm super excited. All right. Oof. Oof. Look at that, gorgeous, just like you. All right, cheers. First bite's for you. Nom nom nom. I can really taste the dashi stalk. Nice salmon flavor, not fishy at all. Nothing beats a warm bowl of rice. Nice and chewy, perfect texture. Very simple ingredients. So it really lets the flavor shine. Can really taste the smokiness of the dashi stock. Each grain of rice has just absorbed all that wonderful flavor we added. The soy sauce, the mirin, and definitely the dashi stock. It has a nice light flavor, not salty at all. If you think this needs more salt, just add a sprinkle on top, but I think this is perfect. If you're gonna eat a whole bowl of this, we don't want super salty rice, right? And the green onion garnish just puts this all together. I would typically eat this with a side of miso soup, just to balance out the rice. And a few vegetables, maybe a few green beans, some bok choy. This is too good. Sometimes when I have leftovers, I will make onigiri with it, which is rice triangles, like that cute little emoji. And you can eat it cold, so it's nice as a snack for the next day or a lunch box. Alright, so this gets LookCatchu's stamp of approval. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and please subscribe to my YouTube channel. I post once a week. And I'll see you guys next time. Thank you. Contestant number 1. Eat. Ooh. Delicious. Nom nom nom. Here you go. Ooh. You are so determined. Goodbye, everyone. Thanks for watching.